Okay, so before we start, I'm going to shill something. Buckle yourselves in, those that don't like it, or just skip ahead 30-odd seconds. Over on the Moisky Reads channel, I released another creepypasta. Link to it below. Okay, I didn't need 30 seconds. I do want to quickly talk about something before I get into any other subject I want to cover. What on earth has YouTube done to make it so that playback is barely working? I had this issue on my Minecraft stream last night where for a good 30 minutes, nobody could watch what I was doing on YouTube. So everyone ended up going to Twitch instead, because I dual stream. It was a bit odd. And so this morning, it had persisted to the point I cannot watch any videos. I can see live stream chats moving, but I'm unable to see the YouTubers as they talk about whatever it is they are talking about. A few of them I'm subscribed to are no doubt going to be moaning about Trump's UK visit, which actually I think is a great idea. I thought it was rather amusing that he took to Twitter to then start railing on Sadiq Khan, calling him essentially a loser who should be focusing more on knife crime and less on the whole protesting against Trump state visit. How sad is it we get to political opponents, which I think he considers Trump to be a political opponent, and he acts like a pouty little bitch instead. I mean, it's well within his right, but since Trump is visiting the city of London, the mayor has to shelve his bias and put on a show, which he has done at the 11th hour. I would love to be a fly on the wall when those two meet. If at all. He is, after all, just the mayor. No doubt Trump's visit's going to be rife with protests, and we do know already that Jeremy Corbyn will be attending one, which is a damning statement for what could happen if he's Prime Minister. We call the Americans one of our closest allies. We have a, quote, special relationship with them. They have our back, and we have theirs. With the current climate our politics are in, the last thing you want to do is start to find ways to piss off the current president, damaging that special relationship because you just don't like him. Yes, there are some policies of his that many disagree with, although upon closer inspection, the majority actually makes sense. They just don't like the 'cause feels before reals, yo, which essentially then takes your foreign policy and says, if we don't like you, because we don't like you, then we're not going to deal with you, which is remarkably petty for somebody who wants to be global. Ironic, I guess, at the same time. We want to be global, but we're going to chastise those that are close to us for not being in alignment with our politics. Cough, cough, Venezuela, cough, cough. I also think with this state visit, it's going to be a bit silly having essentially, I've called her this a few times now, a lame duck Prime Minister. We're still waiting for a new leader. I don't know who it's going to be. Apparently Michael Gove is the front runner now. If that's what they want, somebody who would delay it till 2020, Brexit that is, then so be it. Seal your fate. Put their last nail in your coffin by electing a snake who would not just betray the voters, but betray the entire country on a whim. I'm not saying Boris Johnson, by the way, is a better option. Obviously not. I'm just saying many are right to say we are a tad screwed, because upon closer inspection on the list of those who are currently running for that, or jockeying for the Prime Minister's seat, not many of them are any good. Gove, Hunt, Johnson and Raab. Maybe Esther McVeigh, maybe not. Are possibly the 4 to 5 even, legitimate contenders. But as this is done by Conservative Party membership, this is going to get really messy, because I can't imagine they'll vote for a Brexiteer unless they are soft. So I don't think Boris wins. It's a mess. It really is. To the point where I'd sit back and think, the longer this goes on, the more screwed you are in the 2022 election. If you don't arrogantly call for it sooner, you have essentially 3 years to dazzle us. Either take us out of the EU now and somehow magically make it work for the better, or you delay till 2020, even though the EU has outright stated, oh, I forgot Sajid Javid, yeah, he's running as well. He's a possible contender. Yeah, back to the EU though. The EU has outright stated so many damn times now, there will be no renegotiation. Although I believe Sajid Javid believes there's room for it, or was that Dominic Raab? Doesn't matter. The only deal available is the one that Theresa May negotiated, air quotes around the word negotiated, because it, if anything, was just a bending over and spreading of bottom cheeks. And I don't mean to be offensive to those who are European or member state of the EU, because obviously the EU is doing what it can to protect its interests, which would be to make this as complicated for the UK as possible, to scare other member states from leaving the EU. And I don't believe that's what's happened here. Instead, what I think has happened, or believe has happened, is that the UK has made it more complicated for themselves, and it all started on that joint report, joint agreement, whatever it was called back in December 2017, because on that list of things we agreed to where we would come up with all solutions, which is balmy, we essentially said, yeah, sure, we'll take that off your shoulders. We agreed to the backstop idea. Who originally posited that idea, I honestly don't know. Since I am essentially just talking today, I don't really want to do much past that. I just want to talk. The negotiations spiraled because Theresa May wasn't able to get any consensus. That consensus was not just with the EU, who basically refused everything, which is understandable. We gave them the power. Dennis Skinner was quite right when he said that in Parliament. It is almost one of his most famous quotes, if not for chastising the Black Rod every year, or for being thrown out of Parliament at least 4 times for being rude to the then sitting Prime Minister, going back as far as I believe Thatcher. We have made an absolute mess of Brexit, and I don't think any new Prime Minister can fix it, because that still does not mean a consensus can be gotten in Parliament. Labour and the Conservatives were working on an agreement, but it would mean temporarily staying in the customs union single market and also adhering to certain employment laws, along with other things. Understandably, this was outright rejected. Now, I want to make it clear, I actually support us making sure our employment law is as good as the EU's. That's actually not a bad position for Labour to hold. I don't think we should just sign up for them. I think we should enshrine theirs in our law. I don't think, though, that whenever they change theirs, we should change ours. I think we should be better than that. We know that we have higher food standards. Agricultural standards are an issue because of our land acidity, and it makes it very hard for crop yields to be the same. If anyone knows anything about agriculture, I think you know what I'm talking about. Our land is hardly ideal. When it comes to the single market and customs union, this is to protect trade, but by doing it, by remaining a part of those, we stop being able to trade abroad, allowing instead the EU to negotiate our deals on our behalf. Now, I get it. You want to make your life simpler, but life isn't meant to be simple. And at the same time, while wanting to serve the people and their interests and protect their interests, you forget they voted leave by using a scapegoat of, yes, they said leave, but they didn't say on what terms. Well, leave does not mean remain. We know this. Staying in the single market and customs union, key parts of the EU itself, is remain. Therefore, we must leave them. We did not think, many of us did not think about what we would lose if we left. We just wanted to leave. We were willing to take the risk because we believed we would be better off outside of it. That does not mean we cannot have a close relationship with the EU, because this is, and it's a commonly made mistake, if we leave with no deal, the EU are equally going to suffer for us not having a deal with them. People seem to forget the budget deficit that they will have if we leave with no deal. Therefore, it is in their interest as well to negotiate a deal with us as quickly as possible. So if no deal happens, which is unlikely but could happen still if by Halloween nothing is agreed upon, although we should have left on March 29th, I know. If no deal happens, the EU have to then negotiate with us. We should negotiate with everyone around the world to try and correct any potential damage. We should be preparing for no deal. We should be preparing for every eventual possibility. I know that Jeremy Corbyn has outright stated it's a waste of money to prepare for no deal in the event it happens, but actually I think that is one of the very few times the Conservative Party have actually considered what could happen if things do not go to plan. I'm sorry if you hear the barking, by the way. I can't control neighbours' dogs. I'm not allowed to garrote them either. Stupid rats. So the scaremongery about how we are not going to be as well off, while being based on economic forecasts, which just shows at the same time that we will be better, just not as good, is also invalid as an argument. At this point, I would accept no deal, and the consequences that follow. I accept it because I am so tired of this whole thing. I want to be able to move on and talk about other political things. I want to be able to talk about new policy being introduced in Parliament. I want to be able to talk about, well, anything really that isn't Brexit. I am intrigued by the trade that could take place. I am hopeful. I am optimistic that this could work out for the best for us. Because I'm a glass half full kind of person. The perpetual nihilists that only ever see the bad and refuse to consider anything good because it's a little more difficult are the people I take real issue with. It's the same people that are going after Trump because he's visiting for an official state visit, which is of huge benefit to us when it comes to negotiating any potential opportunity for trade. Those opportunities are few and far between for somebody as powerful as him. And with Brexit and the Tory leadership campaign going on, we're in a bit of a muddle. So we could do with taking some things as good on the face of it, instead of going to Twitter to mock Trump's hat hair, which I will say that he really should just have that hairstyle more often, because then people realise, oh look, his hat hair, not so much a wig. Although he does look more human at least. Anyway, Trump visiting's interesting. Brexit is a mess. The Tories are in disarray. Who would have believed it? The Tories are like the Republicans. They know how to win, they just don't know how to stay there. The Tories know how to win, but they just can't keep a leader without stabbing them in the back. Think about it. The Tories really do like to stab their own leaders in the back. And you notice some Republicans have started doing it to Trump because of a fundamental misunderstanding of the Mueller report. Wow. Just wow. Anyway, last week I wasn't streaming on the Moisky Live channel, so I thought perhaps I'd take my political venting and put it here. I do apologise for that barking. They're not my dogs, and the windows, I need to get soundproofing curtains. I'm working on it, okay? I will be streaming over on the Moisky Live channel on Wednesday, regardless of if there's a PMQ or not. I do need to stream on that channel more often. There is so much going on, I need to talk about it. I don't think you guys enjoy listening to me vent about all that's been going on in the UK and in the US on this channel so much. Maybe I'll do a response video tomorrow, or talk about a missing cat, whichever you prefer really. Let me know in the comments. So anyway, I hope you all have a lovely Monday, and thank you all for listening.